Welcome back to the Redundancy Crusader Talks To. I'm still talking to Annabel Kaye, and we're still in ontological territory, which means dealing with the way of being. And today we're focusing on redundancy and the body.
When you first told me about this element, I thought, what have bodies got to do with the workplace? I think many of us go to work as a mind carried around by a body.
Yes.
And we don't see the body as having a place at work. And it's quite difficult even to get the right size chair in terms of how much attention we pay to the body. And if you're my height, you go to lots of meetings where your feet dangle like a child because your body doesn't count. So I was quite surprised by the idea that this also was part of the dialogue process.
Mm-hmm.
I'm used to it outside work, perhaps, more than inside work.
Yes.
So I'd like to know more about where does that sit in the dialogue about redundancy?
Well, the reason I think it attracted me is that if I think about the typical redundancy meeting, even body plays a part even before you walk into the room, because if you're the employee, you'll walk in and you've already got the HR and the line manager sitting here and you're over here, which to me suggests confrontation. You're immediately into them and us. And if you think about the body posture, people tend to be very tense, leaning forward, very closed down. So it's almost designed to close off the possibility of any possibility other than what's already been decided. And I just think it's interesting that that's an element that we tend to overlook. And I think there are other parallels as well, because if you think of the organisation, the department of which you've been a part as a body, then all of a sudden you as an individual are being cut off from that body. I think you once used the metaphor of animals being left to die in the wild.
Mm.
So I think the sense of isolation can be acute.
I know from other areas of study, if we have body language that puts us in rapport,
Yes.
we often experience the emotions, or some element of the emotions of the person we're in rapport with.
Indeed you do.
As a manager about to fire someone, that seems an unlikely choice to make. You're not going to sit there and go, I want to be in rapport with this person so that I can kind of go on their journey. Surely the human cowardice response is to go, no, actually I don't want to feel that. I actually want to be as distant as possible from the whole thing. How could or should a manager overcome that?
Well, that's an interesting. I understand that response from their point of view, but if you think about that whole putting yourself in another person's shoes thing, if you just switch over to the other side and imagine what it is like to be that person sitting there, losing their job, if you can imagine yourself being there, being on the receiving end, I think that automatically changes the way you do it, the way you respond.
Interesting. So do you think the people who are most compassionate about firing other people may turn out to be people who've been fired themselves?
Yes, I mean, the person who made me redundant, he didn't have much input because the HR woman took over, but he found that so distressing that the next time he had to do it, he said to the HR woman, I understand there are compliance issues that we have to take care of, but he said, I'm doing it my way. And he did it his way, and actually he did it so well that afterwards the person who was losing their job came up to him and said, thank you for being such a gentleman. That made all the difference. So I'm not suggesting it's easy, but I am suggesting there is a better way.